when it comes to John Rustad's tweet, it read in part, "Today we remember what happens when the Canadian government thinks it's better at raising children than parents." Can you tell me what went through your mind when you first heard about it?
Well, when I first heard about that, first of all, I thought it was a very political move to make on such a day, as we're supposed to be reflecting on truth and reconciliation and the atrocities that happen during the residential institutions. So for me, it was quite alarming, and to have somebody of a political stature use that as a reference into today's ideologies of things that people may not understand and may be protesting against, I think was for me a very public, but he used a political forum to use and say something that is very personal to him. Obviously, he doesn't follow or doesn't understand the SOGI curriculum, or isn't feeling that that's an important thing to be educating our children on in the educational system. And some of the times I think, I also sit on the Indigenous Education Council, and we need to remind ourselves that it's an educational tool. It's a tool in a toolbox for teachers to utilize when and if they need or feel that there is the need to do so. Not all two-spirited people and LGBTQIA plus people are safe in the comforts of their own home. So to be able to have places like schools where people can feel safe and actually see themselves, because I remember those days when I was young and there was no SOGI, there was no nothing in schools, and trying to identify as not being male, not being female, and trying to understand those nuances as a child was very difficult, and it wasn't something that was spoken about back then. At least children have the opportunity to find somebody to have those conversations with, if those conversations are challenging at home or challenging anywhere else in the world for them. They need to feel like there's a place for them to go. We are all human people. And again, I think a lot of this is being taken out of context. A lot of people are utilizing it as a sexual thing and not as an educational tool. And that's just my perspective. However, from the Indigenous perspective, I think he crossed the line. And as a Métis citizen and as a two-spirit person, I think he owes the nations an apology, all nations across this country.
You would like to hear an apology from John Rustad?
Absolutely.